People are returning to Battlefield 5. Yes, I'm just as surprised as you are, but we're going to talk about why I think that is today, because it's honestly been going on for a little bit longer than you think. So without further ado, remember, if you do enjoy today's video, don't forget to leave it a nice, thick, and juicy like as always. Of course, if you enjoy this kind of content and want more like it, be sure to hit that big red sexy subscribe button right underneath the video. Also got to thank my channel members. You guys help make these videos possible. If you want to join, get access to the exclusive perks that they get, be sure to check out that blue join button. Anyway, let's begin. So Battlefield 5 has seen a bit of an increase in players over the past few months. It's not just a recent phenomena, and it's not just purely because of what's going on with Battlefield 2042. Now, it did make some news because it actually has more concurrent players on Steam than Battlefield 2042 does. Not sure how indicative this is of the overall player base, but it does say something. These are just the most readily available numbers. But why would this be the case? Why would this even be a situation that we find ourselves in? Well, a lot of people are going to tell you, oh, well, Battlefield 5 is this hidden gem. They fixed it up so much. Number one, they didn't. Attrition is still in the game as much as no one wants to, I don't know. It's still in the game. They nerfed it, but your health still doesn't regen all the way unless you're a medic. So that's attrition. It still sucks. It's still not a great mechanic. I don't personally like it, but I'm not here to complain about BF5. It has its issues, but Battlefield 2042 has pretty much all the same issues and more. The thing with Battlefield 5 is, and why I think people are starting to go back to it, is number one, it's free on Game Pass, so people are just picking it up for free, trying it out, seeing what it's like, and I think as opposed to 2042, Battlefield 5 tries to be a Battlefield game. It does. It really tries. It may try way too hard. Like I said, things like attrition are really kind of a much older style of FPS mechanic that you would find way back a long time ago in the early days of Battlefield, and you'll see it more in more tactical shooters today. Even World War III, which I've made videos on, and I do enjoy that game, has that sort of health attrition where it doesn't regen unless you do get a health pack, or it only regens to a certain extent. It doesn't mean it's something that can't work. I think Battlefield 5 of any of the Battlefield games goes really hard for that playable realism. And while I don't think that that is optimal for an FPS crowd, especially for a game quite like Battlefield, which is supposed to be much more pick up and play, as opposed to some of your much more tactical shooters where you need to be on comms, you need to talk to people and use tons of teamwork to be able to accomplish anything. Battlefield is one of those games where you should be able to do both. You are the best with your squad, but you can also do well if you are playing solo, say your friends just aren't online that night. And Battlefield 5 really nerfs your ability to do that kind of a thing because of things like attrition. But again, Battlefield 2042 makes it impossible whether you're playing with friends or not. They're really just the 128 players. You can barely play because it barely functions. At least on Xbox Series X, I can't play the 128. I mean, I don't want to play it anyway, but when I've tried it, it just stops working. The frames just die and it goes to just stutter mode. So I have to play the lesser modes, which I don't mind totally, but there's still plenty of bugs there. And the thing with 2042 is it doesn't even try to be a Battlefield game. It takes away the core identity of Battlefield. It takes away classes and replaces them with specialists. And really the big thing with that is Battlefield is at its best when you feel like a drop of water in a bucket, a random nobody in this massive conflict at the mercy of whatever battlefield that you are on. That is when it is at its best. You feel this in Battlefield 3, you feel it in Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1. All the great Battlefields have this kind of a feeling, and it's one of those games where you don't need heroes to really enjoy the personality of each of the classes. Each of the classes are completely faceless, but as we see in shows like Battlefield Friends, people just enjoy the classes for what they're. Those characters didn't need classes. The classes was the character. They were engineer, they were medic, they were recon, they were noob, which should be its own class at this point. But you start to see that people enjoy that faceless experience, and there's a lot of good reason to that. Specialists, I don't think, are as appealing to a lot of people because, number one, it's very hard to empathize with this super clean looking world that they look to be a part of. I get no sense of the apocalypse from any of the maps in 2042, whereas in Battlefield 5, I mean, World War II kind of speaks for itself. You don't really need too much of a backdrop, but the game does have some level of atmosphere when things really do kick off in Battlefield 5. You really start to feel the chaos and the apocalyptic vibes of World War II. It's not as well done as, say, Battlefield 1, But it is definitely there, whether it's the soundtrack, whether it's the maps, whether it's the chaos of a mode like Breakthrough or Tactical Conquest or Strategic Conquest, something where a lot of people can get together in a certain area. You really start to feel the chaos of the conflict. And so I think people are willing to deal with some of the issues of Battlefield 5 if it means they get that much more core Battlefield experience than with 2042, where it's like, well, I'm not really playing Battlefield in the classic sense, and it still has tons of issues. Why would I play that when I can go play this other game, which has a lot of the similar issues, but it's still Battlefield? I can try something different. I've been playing Battlefield 4 for 8 years. Might as well try something new at this point. And I think it's getting people to come in and at least play it for a little bit. I don't know how many super ultra dedicated players it's getting. I don't think it's having this resurgence like Battlefield 4 had and continues to have, because that game is just so incredibly deep and there's so much to learn in that game. I don't think Battlefield 5 quite has that, but it is something worth picking up and experiencing at this point because of all the new content that it got, because of the Pacific, because of a lot of the bug fixes. Again, it still has plenty of bugs, don't get me wrong, but it is smoother and far better optimized than what Battlefield 2042 is, especially at the current moment. And so I think that's why you're seeing this bit of a spike in players, I guess is the best way to put it. I think it's why you're starting to see so many people go back to it, and I think it's why it has more players than Battlefield 2042 at the moment. I think people just want Battlefield to be the best version of itself, and while Battlefield 5 falls short in a lot of areas, at least it tries to get there. It tries to. It doesn't try to be something else. It tries to be itself. More than anything else, the biggest praise I can heap on Battlefield 5 is it almost tries too hard to be Battlefield. There's some areas it doesn't quite get it right, and there's some areas where I'm not really a big fan of some of the choices, and it doesn't work perfectly. But my God, does it try to be Battlefield, where 2042 just wants to avoid being Battlefield. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Battlefield 5 getting a bit of a resurgence in players. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a nice, thick, and juicy like. And let me know down below what you think. Are you guys back on Battlefield 5? Or are you still playing 2042? Let me know why down below if you are playing Battlefield 5 again. I will see you guys in the next video.